Let's start with the fear, the one nobody says out loud. If you're fasting for belly fat, you're scared of protein, not carbs, not sugar, protein. You've been told one bite ruins everything. One shake, one steak, one chicken breast, and autophagy dies. Fat burning stops. Longevity benefits vanish. Game over. That fear has been repeated so often it feels like biology. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if that story is just a bad metaphor? Welcome to the light switch lie. For years, metabolism was explained like a switch. Off means fasting, cleaning, burning fat. On means eating, growing, storing. You were told you can't have both. Flip the switch on, cleaning shuts down. Flip it off, growth shuts down. Simple, clean, and completely wrong. Because the human body is not a bedroom lamp. It's not binary. It's layered. It doesn't run on one switch. It runs on sensors. Lots of them. Here's where most advice goes wrong. It treats all food as the same signal. Calories are calories. Food is food. Eat equals stop cleaning. But your body doesn't think like that. Protein is not sugar. Steak is not a donut. And insulin doesn't panic over amino acids. Yet somehow we were told to fear protein the most. That should already feel suspicious. Let's talk about the protein kills autophagy myth. The logic sounds scientific. Autophagy needs low nutrients. Protein activates mTOR. mTOR suppresses autophagy. Therefore, protein kills autophagy. Clean chain of logic. Except biology doesn't work in straight lines. It works in context, timing, tissue, demand. The part that was missing was the muscle. Muscle is not passive storage. It's an active, greedy tissue, especially after fasting, especially after training. In that state, muscle is starving, chemically starving, and starving tissue behaves very differently. This is where the old model collapses. A new human study put this to the test. Not in mice, not in petri dishes. Real humans, real protein. One group ate 25 grams of protein. The other ate 100 grams. Conventional wisdom said anything above 30 grams is wasted, turned into sugar, stored as fat. The results didn't just challenge that belief, they embarrassed it. Muscle protein synthesis didn't cap at 30 grams. It kept going for hours longer. No overflow, no waste. Which raises an awkward evolutionary question. Did our ancestors carry measuring cups? Did they stop at 30 grams of mammoth? Of course not. They feasted. Then they fasted. Biology evolved for that rhythm. And here's the part nobody expected. Even at 100 grams of protein, autophagy markers did not shut off. The cleaning signal stayed alive. Growth and cleanup coexisted. The light switch didn't flip, because there was never just one switch. Think of metabolism less like a switch and more like a control room. Different dials, different sensors. Carbs scream, sugar sets off alarms, insulin floods the building. Protein whispers. It talks directly to muscle, not the entire body. That distinction changes everything. So no, protein isn't the enemy of autophagy. The real enemy is misunderstanding and bad metaphors repeated too often. In the next part, we'll break down how muscle acts like a sponge, how insulin noise matters more than calories, and why most people fear the wrong nutrient. Stay with me. This is where it gets interesting. Let's zoom in on the part most people miss. Not calories, not macros, but signal strength. Because your body doesn't just ask how much, it asks how loud. This is what we'll call insulin noise. Imagine your metabolism like a quiet office. Everyone is working, cleaning, repairing. Autophagy is the night crew. Quiet, efficient, focused. Now imagine someone kicks the door open screaming. That's sugar. That's refined carbs. Insulin goes wild. Energy is here. Stop everything. Cleaning shuts down immediately. Protein doesn't do that. Protein walks in quietly. It taps muscle on the shoulder. Hey, repair time. No screaming, no panic. Insulin rises, yes, but it's a whisper, not a siren. That difference matters more than most people realize. Now here's where muscle changes the entire story. Muscle is not just tissue, it's a nutrient vacuum, especially after fasting, especially after training. In that state, muscle is chemically desperate. This is the muscle sponge effect. Drop a dry sponge into water. What happens? It absorbs everything instantly. The surrounding area stays dry. That's exactly what muscle does with protein. Amino acids don't float around aimlessly. Muscle grabs them aggressively, which means systemic nutrient levels stay low. This is the key insight. Autophagy is regulated systemically. Muscle growth is regulated locally. When muscle soaks up protein fast enough, the rest of the body still feels semi-fasted. Liver, fat tissue, immune cells, they don't get the panic signal. Cleaning can continue. This is what people mean by metabolic compartmentalization. Building here, cleaning there at the same time. No magic, no contradiction, just physiology. Now let's talk about leucine, the amino acid everyone loves to oversimplify. Leucine is the ignition key for muscle growth. But here's the problem. As you age, that key gets dull. As you gain fat, the lock gets rusty. This is anabolic resistance. In that state, small protein doses don't work. 20 grams? Nothing happens. 30 grams? Barely a signal. You don't need a feather, you need a hammer. High protein isn't excess, it's compensation. This is why the 30 grams max myth collapses. That rule assumed perfect sensitivity. Most modern humans don't have that. So the higher dose isn't waste, it's the entry fee. But here's the nuance competitors ignore. This dual state only works under specific conditions. Low carbs, lean protein, fasted or post-workout muscle. Add sugar and fat to the mix and the office gets loud again. Cleaning stops. So no, this isn't a license to eat pizza with whey. Context is everything. Protein is powerful, but only when it stays clean. In the next part, we need to address the uncomfortable truth. This doesn't work the same for everyone. Lean bodies behave differently than obese ones, and that difference explains belly fat better than willpower ever could. That's where most advice breaks people instead of helping them. Stay with me. This is where it gets real.
Now we need to talk about the part nobody likes, because this is where confusion turns into frustration, and where good advice quietly fails a lot of people. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. Autophagy does not behave the same in every body. In lean, metabolically healthy individuals, autophagy is responsive. You remove food, the system turns on. You add protein, muscle absorbs it. Cleaning continues quietly in the background. The engine starts when you turn the key. In obese or insulin-resistant bodies, it's different, very different. On paper, autophagy looks activated. The genes are expressed, the signals are there. But when scientists measure autophagic flux, nothing moves. Think of it like this. Autophagy is an engine. In a lean body, you turn the key and it starts. In an obese body, you turn the key, click, click, click. The starter is firing, but the engine never turns over. This is autophagic dysfunction, not laziness, not weak willpower. The system wants to clean, but the machinery is jammed. And the main culprit has a name: visceral fat. Not the fat you can pinch, the fat wrapped around your organs, liver, pancreas, intestines. This fat is metabolically loud. Visceral fat leaks inflammatory signals. It disrupts insulin signaling. It clogs cellular recycling pathways. So even when autophagy is turned on, the trash doesn't get taken out. This creates a vicious loop. You carry belly fat because metabolism is impaired. Metabolism stays impaired because autophagy can't clean. So you fast harder, eat less, train more, and somehow it gets worse. This is where most people blame themselves. I must not be disciplined enough. I need longer fasts, more restriction. But that's exactly backwards. If autophagy is jammed, starving the system doesn't fix it, it stresses it further. You don't fix a broken engine by revving harder, you remove what's clogging it. That means the real priority isn't longer fasts, it's removing visceral fat. And here's the irony. The fastest way to do that is not avoiding protein, it's increasing it. Protein raises metabolic rate, It has the highest thermic effect of food. Nearly 30% of its calories are burned just digesting it. Fat and sugar don't do that. They slide in quietly and stay. Protein also protects muscle, and muscle is your metabolic engine. Lose muscle and fat loss slows. Protect muscle and the system wakes up. This is the shift most people need to make. From how long can I not eat to how do I restore function? Because once visceral fat drops, the autophagy engine unsticks itself. One day, you turn the key and it roars. In the next part, we'll put this into action, not theory. A simple protocol. How to break a fast without breaking autophagy and how to use protein as a tool, not a fear. This is where everything comes together.
Now let's stop theorizing and actually use this, because information without execution is just entertainment, and your body doesn't change from entertainment. It changes from signals. So here's the real question people are afraid to ask. How do you break a fast without killing autophagy? First, understand this. You don't lose autophagy the moment you eat. That idea is pure fiction. Autophagy fades gradually like a dimmer switch, not a trapdoor. The goal is not to keep autophagy at 100%. The goal is to keep it active while restoring function. Step 1. Break the fast with protein first. Not carbs, not fat. Protein. Why? Because protein creates the least systemic noise. It feeds muscle without waking up the whole metabolic neighborhood. Lean protein only. Eggs, fish, chicken, whey. No sauces, no sugar, just a little bread. This is where people sabotage themselves. They say protein is fine and then eat it with fries. That's not a protein meal. That's a carb alarm. Step 2. Use timing to your advantage. Fasted muscle is greedy. Post-workout muscle is desperate. That's when protein disappears into muscle fastest. The faster protein leaves the bloodstream, the less it interferes with systemic autophagy. Step 3. Don't fear quantity, fear context. If you're insulin resistant, small protein doses do nothing. They don't build muscle, they don't raise metabolism, they just waste time. High protein isn't excess, it's the cost of entry when your system is resistant. Step 4. Delay carbs on purpose. Not forever, just strategically. Let protein do its job first. When you add carbs later, muscle is already fed, insulin sensitivity is higher, and damage is lower. And here's the part nobody sells because it's not sexy. Consistency beats intensity. A moderate fast done repeatedly beats extreme fasts that burn you out. Autophagy is not a heroic event. It's maintenance, like brushing your teeth. Skip it long enough and everything rots. In the final part, we're going to destroy the last myth, the idea that suffering equals progress, because the body doesn't reward suffering, it rewards correct signals, repeated patiently.
Now, let's kill the final myth, the one that keeps people stuck for years, the idea that progress must hurt. We've been taught that if fat loss feels easy, it must be wrong, that if you're not miserable, you're cheating biology. That mindset is outdated and honestly a little masochistic. Your body is not a punishment machine. It's a feedback system. It doesn't reward suffering. It rewards correct signals, repeated consistently. Starving yourself is a loud, chaotic signal. Sometimes it works, often it backfires. High-quality protein, timed correctly, is a precise signal, quiet, surgical, effective. This is why people who eat more protein often lose more fat, not because protein is magic, but because it stabilizes the system. Stable blood sugar, stable appetite, stable muscle mass, stable metabolism. And stability is what allows autophagy to actually do its job. Think about it. Autophagy is cleanup. Cleanup doesn't happen well during chaos. You don't remodel a house during an earthquake. You remodel when the structure is safe enough to work on. Protein creates that safety. Muscle creates that stability. So the real strategy isn't fasting harder, it's fasting smarter. Stress the system briefly, feed it correctly, then let it recover. That cycle is how humans evolved, not endless deprivation.
This is why you don't have to choose between fat loss and longevity, between muscle and autophagy, between looking good now and functioning well later. You can build and clean at the same time, not by pushing harder, but by signaling better. So the next time someone tells you that eating protein breaks everything, remember this: biology isn't fragile, it's adaptable. And when you respect that adaptability, your body rewards you, not with suffering, but with results that actually last.